Hello, in this video we look at G&K Lesson 1, Reading 4. As before, I will read it out without the text up, and then we'll go through the analysis in detail. Bhikkhu Anupannanam papakanam akusalanam dhammanam anupadaya chandanjaneti vayamati viryam arabhati chittam pagganahati padahati. Bhikkhu anupannanam kusalanam dhammanam upadaya chandanjaneti vayamati viryam arabhati chittam pagganahati padahati. Bhikkhu uppannanam kusalanam dhammanam titya asammusaya bhayobhavaya vepullaya bhavanaya paripuriya chandanjaneti vayamati viryam arabhati chittam pagganahati padahati. I'll now call up the text of it. Here we are. We have a series of verbs here: janeti, arabhati, pagganahati, padahati. The subject of all of these verbs is bhikkhu, so the bhikkhu, the monk, does all of these things. The first thing he does is chandanjaneti. It means generates a desire. First we'll look at the word janeti. So quite a common word. It's from, let me get the iPad, call up the iPad for you. It's the causative form of the root jan, which is cognate with the Greek gen, as in which in English becomes a j, as in genesis, or genesis in classical Greek, genesis in modern Greek, genesis in English. And it was a jan in Sanskrit, meaning to be born, give birth, or be born. And it's cognate with generatio, in English generation, the successive giving birth to the new generations, which literally means the birthings. It has a causative form, to cause, to be born, or to produce. And the causative form of the verb is actually quite simple to learn. Instead of the root plus ati, it is the root plus, in Sanskrit, ayati. That's all it is. So janayati, to cause, to be born, therefore to produce or give rise to generate, literally to generate. This ayati ending most frequently, not always, but most frequently turns up in Pali as eti. So it's just the ayati softened to eti. So janayati in Sanskrit. You can have janayati in Pali, but more commonly you'll see janeti. It's the same word with the same meaning. So janeti is just the softened pronunciation, so to speak, of the Sanskrit janayati. So chandan janayati. The word chanda means a desire. Note that this word chanda is a morally neutral word. It's not desire in the sense of an unwholesome desire or a lust. You can have a wholesome chanda or an unwholesome chanda. the word, as I said, is on its own morally neutral and doesn't carry any connotations of good or bad. So you can have a kusala chanda, a good chanda, which is the chanda to develop your good qualities, to develop sila, a chanda to be generous. All of these things are good chandas. So chandan janeti, the bhikkhu chandan janeti, the bhikkhu generates a desire. And by the way, for those of you who haven't spotted yet, most commonly the verb goes at the end of a sentence or a word group in Sanskrit and Pali. So in English we'd say bhikkhu janeti chandam, the bhikkhu generates a desire. In Pali, bhikkhu chandan janeti. That's the standard word order. The bhikkhu a desire generates. So what does he generate a desire for? That would go in the dative, and we see it in the dative here, anupadaya. So upada we have seen meaning the arising. The anupada, we've seen the noun form, the past participle form, upanna and anupanna, arisen and non-arisen. This is the upada, the arising, and you can negate that, the anupada, for the non-arising. So chandam janeti, he generates a desire, anupadaya, for, dative here, the I ending, for the non-arising of what? Now here we have this series of 4 words in the genitive plural, the anam ending, used exactly like our English possessive form, or the of form, for the non-arising of what? Anupannanam, papakanam, akusalanam, dhammanam. So for the non-arising of anupannanam, of unarisen, meaning not yet arisen, papakanam, evil, sinful, akusalanam, unskillful, dhammanam, states. The new word here is papaka. We have the word papa, which is both often translated as sin, but that is a slightly Christian connotation. That's a bit out of place, because anything bad or wrong or evil is papa. Papa is both a noun, neuter noun, papang, meaning a sin, just a wrong, something evil. It's also an adjective. It's both. But we can also make an adjective by adding ka. That's this ka ending. We've seen it previously in michhaditti and michhadittika, where it means a person characterized by michhaditti, a person of wrong view. It can also, as an adjective, meaning a thing characterized by this papa quality, a thing characterized by being evil. So just translate as evil or bad or wrong. So papakanam dhammanam, of evil states. And with the other 2 adjectives that we've seen, anupannanam, papakanam, so akusalanam. All of these are in the genitive plural. This follows the rule that the adjective has to agree with its noun in number, gender, and case. We've got the noun, dhammanam, genitive plural, and therefore we have the adjectives that qualify it, also in the genitive plural. That accounts for the series of anam, 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 all in the genitive plural. So, chandang janeti. Now the next verb here is vayamati. He makes an effort, he strives. You will probably recognize this verb, this word. So we have here, so vayamati. You will recognize this word from the Noble Eightfold Path, where we have Samma Vayama, which is commonly translated as right effort. Now, as I've explained in detail in the note in the explanatory glossary, I think I've done it. I have, yeah. There's more to it than just striving, and striving or making an effort it's a partial translation. The word is more subtle than that. The idea is it's a kind of striving. The word imports in Pali and Sanskrit the idea of a dynamic tension between the forces of good and evil. So the vayamati is the verb, he strives, and vayama is the noun meaning effort or striving. Not as the English word strife involves a struggle. Striving suggests a struggle, striving against the obstacles or striving to overcome something. And that same subtext of some kind of striving to overcome something or in opposition, a bit of a tug of war there. In fact, the word suggests a bit of a tug of war. So viyama. So ayama pulling one way, viyama pulling the other way. Put them together, viyama, which in Pali becomes vayama, suggests a pulling against something else pulling one way and you pulling back against it. A bit like a tug of war. So vayamati, he strives. Viryam arabhati, virya. We know that as one of in many contexts, including one of the factors of enlightenment. Virya. It's virya. It's actually originally from the Sanskrit word vira. The idea of a vira. So in older meaning it just meant a man, and it's cognate with the Latin word vir, from which we get the English virility and virile. So vira meant a man, and then by extension in Sanskrit it meant something like the alpha male, really, and the hero, some with heroism and energy, bravery. When it came into Buddhist usage, and I think in later Sanskrit usage as well, it wasn't so much the he-man aspect, and it can be applied to vira, you can apply it to women as well. It has the idea of energetic, putting yourself into it. It's kind of the opposite of being lazy, so it's arousing this energy. So the arabhati means to arouse energy. This arabhati, arab means the original meaning of that is picking something up, taking it up. It's from the root rab, actually, meaning to take or to seize something. As in, we have it in Latin as in rapacious, and a raptor. Also, will come the word as ravenous. Also, actually, it's the origin of the rapire, which we have in English as rape, specifically in English now as a sexual offence. But in the earlier language, it just meant to grab or seize something. It's that same rab. And the arab with the prefix as suggests the dynamic motion. You go for it and grab it. You go for it. So this viryam arabhati, he seizes, he arouses the energy. The word now commonly means, in both Sanskrit and Pali, just to start something. You pick it up. You pick up the strands, or you pick up the task. So here, viryam arabhati, chittam paganhati. This is from a root, grah. Or in the Vedic root, grah or grab, meaning to take. It becomes, and the form of the verb becomes in Sanskrit grabnati, which by phonetic mutation becomes in Pali ganhati. There's quite a phonetic variation as grabnati, from the root grub. Now, if the root grub looks like our English word grab, it is the same word, which has come down into modern English with its form virtually unchanged. And so grabnati, which in Pali is paganhati, means to put forward, like putting forth energy. Chittam paga, he puts forth his mind. In other words, making an effort. You've got your mind, you're applying it. You're making an effort to apply your mind, to apply the chitta to something. And padahati, Sanskrit root is pradha, which means to place in front of you. It's something you set in front of you, something you make your objective, and then you devote yourself to it. So the pradhati in Sanskrit becomes padahati in Pali. And it's the same dahati from the root dha as in samadha, which we get the noun samadhi. Samadhi means gathering into one place, whereas padahati means placing forward, putting your mind forward. So I'll read through this once more with the text up. Bhikkhu anupannanam papakanam akusalanam dhammanam anupadaya chandanjaneti vayamati viryam arabhati chittam paganhati padahati. The monk, the bhikkhu, janeti, generates, gives rise to a chandam, gives rise to a desire. Anupada, the non-arising. Anupadaya, dative, for the non-arising. Of dhammanam, genitive plural, of states, or mental qualities or states, characterized by these three adjectives, all now in the genitive plural. Anupannanam, unarisen. Papakanam, sinful or evil or bad. Akusalanam, unskillful. And for these purposes also, for the anupadaya of these states, chandam janeti, vayamati, he strives. Viryam arabhati, he arouses energy, gets it going. Chittam paganhati, he puts forward his mind, applies his mind to it. Padahati, again, makes that his objective. He foreplay padahati. Sanskrit pradhate means he places in front of him, he makes it his objective. Now to the next paragraph. Bhikkhu uppannanam papakanam akusalanam dhammanam pahanaya chandam janeti vayamati viryam arabhati chittam paganhati padahati. So we have got here the previous one. We had he makes all of this effort, the anupadaya for the non-arising of the anupannanam dhammanam, of the states that have not yet arisen. So states that have not yet arisen, he makes an effort to ensure that they don't arise. The next one, for the uppannanam, as opposed to anupannanam, for the arisen, that is the already risen states. Pahanaya, for the abandonment of them. So states that have not yet arisen, he strives to see if they don't arise, and here the states, unwholesome states that have arisen, he strives for their abandonment. That's the pahanaya. We saw in the previous reading, we have parihayati, they fade away. This is the same root ha, but with the prefix pa in Sanskrit, pra. The root ha, meaning to abandon, is more often than not used with the prefix Sanskrit pra, Pali pa, with pretty much the same meaning. I don't think there's a distinction. It's just you more commonly say it with a pa. So paha, to get rid of, to abandon, you make a verbal noun, pahana, let's do that for you here. Means the abandonment. Where's my iPad? Here it is. So the root ha with the pra and Pali pa ha. So Pali pahana. Just as, for example, we have the root da to give, and we all know the word dana, giving. So from paha we have pahana, the abandonment. So pahanaya, where are we? Pahanaya, so chandam janeti as before. The rest of the verbs are all as before. Chandam janeti, vayamati, viryam, arabhati, chittam paganhati, padahati. So he makes all of these efforts and does all of these things for the pahanaya, for the abandonment of arisen, that's already arisen, papakanam, akusalanam, dhammanam, of these arisen, already arisen, evil, unskillful states. And now the same is being said in reverse in connection with skillful states. So the bhikkhu, I'm looking at this paragraph now, bhikkhu chandam janeti, generates a desire for the upadaya, for the arising of kusalanam dhammanam, of skillful states, but anupannanam, of unarisen, or meaning not yet arisen. So he generates a desire for the arising of unarisen skillful states, and the rest is as before. And finally, we have some new vocabulary here. So the bhikkhu uppannanam kusalanam dhammanam titya asammusaya bhiyobhavaya vepulaya bhavanaya paripuriya chandanjaneti, and the rest of these verbs, chandanjaneti, vayamati, viryamarabhati, chittam paganhati, padahati. So he generates a desire for the titi, asamusa, bhiyobhava, vepulaya, bhavana, and the paripuri of what? Uppannanam kusalanam dhammanam, that is arisen, already arisen skillful states. So he generates this desire, and so on, to do these various things for already arisen skillful states. And those four things are the titya, that's the dative of titi, which is the Sanskrit sthiti, literally is from the root sta, which in Pali becomes ta or ta, meaning standing, and therefore remaining in place, continued existence. So this you will see in the grammar, if you look at page 6, both tables will tell you the same thing. Look at the first table, ratti. Here we have titi, standing, remaining, and the genitive, dative, instrumental, ablative, and locative all end in the ya. So titiya, for the standing, means the maintenance, remaining in place. What else? Asammosaya, samosa, not to be confused with the tasty Indian morsel, which is written with a single M, by the way. This is asammosaya, for the non-decline, means decline. Samosa means to decline. For the non-decline, for the permanence, the maintenance, titiya, asammosaya, the non-decline, bhiyobhavaya, we've had that in the previous reading, the more becoming, another, the becoming more, the increase, vepulaya, the filling, bhavanaya, paripuriya. Now let's just look at all of these datives. Incidentally, the aya ending on bhavanaya is the dative ending, but it's aya for a kind of slightly different reason. I won't introduce too much confusion now. This is actually the declension of nouns and feminine nouns ending in a long a, which we come to, maybe even in lesson 2 we come to. But yes, we do. We deal with these in lesson 2. But don't worry about it too much now. Just this is the dative form bhavanaya, and paripuriya, the fulfillment. The is from that root pura, meaning full, cognate with our English word full. So paripuriya, the fulfilling. Bhavana. There's quite a lot to say about this word. It's from the root bhu. Let's deal with it now. There we are. I'll deal with it in greater detail in the lesson, but in the in the Zoom lessons. But it's from the root bhu, meaning to be. And I was telling you about janeti, the ayati, and the eti endings. So you can make a causative verb. Many of you will already know bhavati. Bhavati is. Now you make a causative form in Sanskrit by saying bhavayati, which we saw above, janayati, and in Pali you can have bhavayati or bhaveti. Literally, that means to cause to be. Bhavati is, bhu to be, cognate with our English verb to be. Bhavayati, to cause to be, and then by extension to cause to be more than it is, either to bring into being or to enhance and increase the being of what already is. And therefore it's come to have the meaning of developing or cultivating something. And that's bhavati, it makes a verbal noun, bhavana, which many of you will be familiar with as a term of practice, the bhavana, often translated as one's meditation or one's practice. So the word literally means bringing into being, or, as I said, enhancing the being of something, cultivation. So here we have the word used here, and the dative form bhavanaya for the cultivation, paripuriya, fulfillment of these anupannanam kusalanam dhammanam, of these unarisen, not yet arisen, skillful states. So I'll read through this final paragraph here once more before winding up this video. Bhikkhu uppannanam kusalanam dhammanam titya asammusaya bhayobhavaya vepullaya bhavanaya paripuriya chandanjaneti vayamati viryang arabhati chittam pagganahati padahati. So that's all on this video, and this concludes the first section of readings 1 to 4 in lesson 1.